All right, Matt, the mortgage guy. In today's video, I'm going to talk about shelter inflation. The cost of housing, whether you're renting or whether you're buying, has gone up dramatically and drastically. In this video, I'm going to talk to you about some things you can do. I'm going to talk to you about, whether you're a renter or a buyer, some things that you need to know. Don't lose hope if you're thinking about buying a house. I have conversation after conversation with people that think it might not be in the cards for me to buy. I got some great advice for you, so stay tuned until the end. All right, Matt, the mortgage guy. In this video, I'm talking shelter inflation, and we talk a lot about inflation in general, but not a lot of people talk about how the housing problem is also the inflation problem, shelter inflation specifically. And when I say shelter inflation, everyone needs shelter, whether you're renting or whether you own. You need a roof over your head, and the costs for either one of those is gone up dramatically over the last few years. It's really like the cause of why the consumer price index, the CPI inflation reading, continues to get driven up, right? Surging housing costs are the engine driving that CPI that last week just came in. The core rate of CPI was 6.3%. And why it matters, right? That it proves the Fed still doesn't have inflation under control, and they'll have to continue to rise interest rates, right? Meaning that this problem's not getting better anytime soon, right? Shelter costs were the single most important category driving core inflation up, and they weigh heavily on CPI, Consumer Price Index. If you don't know what that is, think about a basket of goods, what everything costs to live your life with shelter and food and gas and all those things. If those things continue to get more expensive, your $100 buys less. You can put less in your basket, right? That core reading was up 6.3% year over year. As of the last report we just saw, rent costs were up 6.7% annually. You don't have to tell me. I know full well costs to own a house have gone up dramatically. We haven't ever had a history in time where interest rates have doubled in a 9-month period, right? Since the beginning of the year, interest rates have effectively doubled. That to your mortgage payment creates a problem. Even if home prices stay flat, which they haven't gone crazy since the beginning of the year like they did in those low interest rate environments of 2020 and 2021. But it's no secret. And I won't be one to sugarcoat the fact that like buying a $400,000 house with 3 or 5% down, which a lot of first time home buyers do, all in payment of principal, interest, taxes, insurance, mortgage insurance is $2,700 or $2,800. Even if I can get you a fantastic 5.5 or 5.75 interest rate, which compared to market rates is really, really good. And I won't dig too deep into what we're doing with helping people buy the rates down. If you want to get pre-approved and work with the team, we're more than happy to help. GreatMortgageBroker.com. Let us know where you're at, what you're looking to do. We're more than happy to help. GreatMortgageBroker.com. And if you're looking to connect with a great agent in your area, homeandmoney.com/Matt to connect with a great agent. So I thought about this topic last night. And here's what I want to tell people who are currently renting and they see something like that $2,700 or $2,800 payment, and it doesn't make sense. They don't know how they'll ever, one, come up with the $15,000, $20,000, $25,000 down payment, two, be able to afford a mortgage payment that might be double what their current rent is. Here's my message to renters. And trust me when I tell you, I talk to hundreds of renters month in and month out. If you're sitting in a rental that seems to be a smoking rate, I'm only paying $1,100 a month, Matt, $1,200 a month, $1,250 a month. in any given market, average rents for what you're renting could be $2,000, $2,200. One, because rents have increased quite a bit. And some landlords just don't increase rent, right? So you might be sitting in a smoking deal. I've had at least 36 conversations in 2022. Landlord decides to list the house. And here's where you really get yourself into trouble is if market rents are 2,000, a mortgage at your price point is 2,400, and you're currently paying 1,200, that's going to be a big payment shock. That's going to be a big issue for you. So here's what I would advise for somebody who's in a situation like this. If your plan is to buy a home, you don't have to be in a huge hurry. You don't have to say, I'm going to buy before the first of the year. But if your long-term goal, whether it's 6 months, 12 months, 24, 36, 5 years, if your goal is to buy a house, here's what I would do if I was you. Look at what that payment might possibly be. And in one scenario, let's say it's $2,200 a month. Make it your goal to save every dollar that you're below market. Let's say your rent is $1,200 a month and you've got a $2,200 average market rent in your area or $2,200 projected mortgage payment. You're saving $1,000 a month in housing because, like I've talked about, this shelter inflation is something that's real. If you haven't had a rent increase in the last 5 or 6 years, say something nice to your landlord and be thankful that you're in that position. But don't take that for granted and don't continue to work your budget around that because your landlord might sell, you might be forced to move, something might happen. Be in a position where every month you plan on designating $2,200 a month towards shelter. And if that's $1,200 to the landlord and $1,000 in a shelter savings, then do that. That shelter savings can be saving up for a down payment. That shelter savings can be to absorb the payment shock if you have to go into a higher cost rental. That shelter savings can be anything. It can be an emergency fund savings, but you get used to earmarking that larger price that you inevitably are going to pay for shelter. I don't see a time when we see a big retracement in home prices or rent. I think it's more likely we see a retracement in home prices than we do in rent, right? Costs have gone up to borrow. Costs have gone up a bunch of different areas for the people who own the properties who are renting them. So they're not going to pull back their rents by 20 or 30%. I just don't see like any scenario in which there's so little demand that they have to do that, right? So with shelter inflation having risen so much, rents and mortgage, if you're a renter, do yourself that favor. Earmark that extra money you're saving every month, put it in a shelter savings account. Either use it for a down payment, use it for, first month's, last month's deposit on your next rental, whatever the case may be. But don't, I repeat, don't spend all around that $1,200 payment and get into that habit. Because then when your payment jumps to $2,200, you'll be in a lot of trouble. Hopefully this helps somebody. Again, if you want to get pre-approved with my team, we're more than happy to help. GreatMortgageBroker.com, fill out the form. If you're looking to connect with a great agent in your area, homeandmoney.com/Matt. Thanks for watching. Until next time, we gonna see.